Right. And good morning, and welcome back to Sister Soul Sessions, everyone, where we are elevating entrepreneurs one soulful conversation at a time.
And today we're sitting down with Garry Johnson III, founder of BVP Coffee Co., as well as being a venture partner, as well as an ecosystem builder.
And before BVP Coffee, we just want to know, Garry, who were you when nobody was watching, and what shaped you, to move into this business today?
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me on Sister Soul Sessions. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Who was I? I would say I was the same person. I'm the same guy. Entrepreneurship definitely requires putting in work that nobody sees. So I would say I've kept that with me along this entire journey of entrepreneurship. I've always been a problem solver, somebody who's confident in their creativity and driven to really help others unlock that creativity within themselves. So my passion is really for educating and teaching and empowering others to be entrepreneurs themselves. And through my businesses, I'm able to practice what I preach and also, I would say, lead by example. So everything that I talk about, everything I do is, the stuff that I believe you just have to do to be successful in your own business.
Right. Thank you. Beautiful introduction. Nice to meet you, Garry. And again, thank you so much for being here. I'll let you go ahead and take over, sis.
Yeah, so Garry, I do have a question for you. So you don't just build businesses. So this is my first time ever hearing of like an ecosystem of businesses. Where did that mindset come from?
Mhm. Yeah. Where did the mindset of ecosystem building come from?
Hmm.
I think it comes down to sort of just leaning into your passion, right? So for me, like I said, I want to help other people win. I want to help others understand that entrepreneurship is a viable career path, and taking it back as far as I think is where it started is I get this entrepreneurial gene from my mom, who has been an entrepreneur as long as I've known her, and she started a property clean out business back when I was in middle school.
Wow.
And in middle school, I became her first employee, myself and my two siblings. And my mom would rent a moving truck, a box truck. And every weekend, she would pack us up early in the morning and we would drive around the Philadelphia area cleaning out properties, right? So from there, I got to see what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, to be somebody who creates opportunities for others and hires in the community. And that it was an interesting experience because one, I was in middle school, but I also didn't know the term entrepreneurship. I credit SpongeBob for introducing me to the term. I think he was like selling chocolate or something on one of those episodes.
Yes.
Chocolate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That one. So yeah, that's where I learned the word, but it wasn't until I got to college where I learned that there's a whole field of study for entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
right? And you can learn from examples of history and current events and what people are building today to understand what it takes to build a successful for-profit business, a nonprofit business, a small business, or a high growth technology startup. And what it comes down to is ecosystems need to be built to support those entrepreneurs, to give them the access to resources they need, whether it's capital or mentorship or a space to work out of or whatever it might be, right? There's a bunch of different things that go into building a business. So my mindset has been, how do I help contribute to an ecosystem that is diverse, that is equitable, that is inclusive? How do we make sure that everyone in the ecosystem in our community has the tools and resources to be successful? Because the truth is, no one company, no one business is going to solve every single problem.
Yeah.
It takes an economy, right? It takes lots of different entrepreneurs. It takes lots of different businesses creating many different types of products and services to create value for the community. And, you know, when they're able to do so successfully, we're all successful because of that, because those businesses solve problems by hiring talent from the community, and, you know, they're creating jobs, and they're building products and services that make the world a better place in one way or another.
Yeah.
And it all, like I said, I discovered, okay, this is an ecosystem. So I want to be the type of person that contributes to the whole picture, right? I want to help enable innovation, and I want to make sure that people, regardless of where you come from, what you look like, what resources may have been provided to you, you know, in college, or if you didn't go to college, you still have the tools and resources to build and be successful. So all of that comes down to ecosystem building, and it is complex. It is definitely not easy, but it is the type of thing that enables others to be successful. So I like being on that side of the table.
No, for sure. Definitely the importance of just being with other entrepreneurs to build your business, I think is very important. We talk about that all the time. You know, your network equals your net worth. So I love that you saw that. Do you feel like that was the problem that you were trying to solve when you started BVP? Like, you know, the real problem, or like, what did you see at that time that you needed to dig into this?
Sure. Yeah. It's the same problem over and over again. Just having the lens that I have, it's the same problem, but
Yeah.
I use different vehicles to address it, right? And to
Mm.
try to tackle it. So I don't believe, like I said, I don't believe one company can solve, like truly solve the full problem. We
Yeah.
can contribute to, you know, alleviating problems, but it's unlikely that an entire problem is eliminated. We all just do our part to make the world a better place. So before BVP, I started a nonprofit, and
Mm.
the nonprofit still exists today. It's a 501c3. It's called First Founders Inc. And I created that nonprofit because I was studying entrepreneurship in college. I minored in entrepreneurial studies, ended up getting a scholarship to get a master's in entrepreneurship and design, and took advantage of every resource I could at my university. So prior to Howard University for my MBA program, I went to University of Delaware, and the university had a lot of resources, and I didn't know what I was doing when I got started, but I just
Yeah.
saw opportunities to learn. And, you know, I got to hear from industry experts, entrepreneurs who were being invited to come and speak to us. And I learned very quickly, like, okay, no one has it all figured out. It really just takes,
That
you know,
part.
believing in yourself, having the audacity, you know, to believe that you can do it too. And that's the answer. Like, that was the secret formula. So I said, okay, I don't know what my business is going to be, but I'm going to show up in these spaces. And I learned from there that entrepreneurship is about solving problems. And as we know, there's no shortage of problems in the world. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's sort of like, just pick a problem and get started.
Yeah. And solve,
And there
yeah.
you go. Yeah. And get to work. And you may not know what the solution is going to be. And that's actually the best position to be in, because when you approach it with that beginner's mind, and you have that, you know, naivete,
Yeah.
it's exactly what uncovers unique insights, right? Because you have no bias of what should exist, right?
Yeah.
You're totally new, you're fresh. So I started a nonprofit, one, to contribute to our local ecosystem in Delaware, because I realized I had a lot of great resources on campus at the university. But as I was doing youth empowerment work in the community, and, you know, seeing different narratives that were coming out in the media, I said, you know what, everybody should have access to these resources. Everybody should have access to information and platforms. So what actually led me to the nonprofit was first organizing a business pitch competition for young
Love
men of
that.
color.
Yeah.
Yep. We hosted it around MLK Day. We called it the I Have a Dream pitch competition. And I just wanted to create a space where young Black men in the community were able to have a platform to showcase their ideas, and
Right.
they could compete for funding. So we had, you know, sponsors, and we had little bit over $1,000 in prizes to give away, cash awards and others. And our judges were all Black men from the Delaware community who went on to become entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, investor type of people. So I wanted the young men to see themselves represented. I wanted the community to see, hey, here's what innovation looks like, and we are here, and we do this at a high level, and this is what investment is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be investing early, right, and believing in the potential of someone, not necessarily their idea, but their potential to figure it out. And we look at all the companies on the stock market and the big tech firms and AI companies and this and that, and not a single one of them just got there because they had a great idea.
Exactly.
They had an ecosystem of people around them who believed in them, who took a bet on them, who invested in them time and time again, and allowed them to fail, right? Because when we fail, we learn what doesn't work, and we learn what might work next time. And we wanted to contribute to that ecosystem. So that was my first official business. It was that nonprofit. Thank you. And that's what got me into ecosystem building, and just learning how to build a nonprofit taught me, okay, here's how you go about fundraising, and here's how you go about, building a board, and how you go about communicating your mission and your values and all of that stuff. So during that time, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I don't sit still. Like I definitely rest. I definitely rest, but I have a lot of ideas because, like I said, I see problems. And when I see a problem I really care about, I'm going to take action on it. And that's my way of just, empowering myself. I never feel like I need to wait for someone to give me authority. I'm like, I have it within me, so let me act on this purpose.
Right.
So I've been in the tech space, pitching for venture capital and traveling the country and competing in pitch competitions to win funding. And I got very good at it. Every time I've traveled to compete, I've won the competition.
Wow. I need some help then, Garry. I'm just saying,
So this is my, so I'm, I have a master's in entrepreneurship, and it's sort of like, it's funny because the truth is you can't really, they say you can't just study entrepreneurship and be an entrepreneur. I believe I'm an example of you can study it, and it does also take execution. It's not just about being book smart, but it's about, how have you failed? What have you learned? Right? What have you actually done as an entrepreneur? So I definitely, take all of that and put it into the real world. But I've been blessed to just, make it to big stages and compete everywhere from Delaware to Miami to Texas to California.
Wow.
And winning competitions in front of like social media influencers, like Jackie Aina hosted a competition called Noir Tank. So I won that competition alongside another great entrepreneur a couple years ago. So that's ecosystem building, right? That's one, learning how the system works. That's seeing others organizing opportunities, but then positioning yourself to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. And like I said, like my passion is creating platforms for others to do the same thing. So getting to BVP Coffee Co, that came about from my deciding to go back to school, sort of after 2020 and everything that happened and is still happening. I said, you know what, like, I don't want an MBA. It's not that I have a dream of going and getting an MBA, but I always wanted the HBCU experience.
Okay.
And I saw an advertisement on LinkedIn for the Howard MBA program, which has an online option.
Okay.
So I said, okay, that's really interesting. So I remember just like looking into other MBA programs, and there was Morehouse. I was like, I feel like Morehouse would be cool. Howard is like elite. And just tried to find other programs, and there really aren't many. There aren't many HBCU MBA programs, and there are only a couple that have online options. So I decided to submit an application, not because I wanted to go and get my MBA, but because I wanted to contribute to the Howard legacy. And I mean, I remember the night that I wrote my letter and got all my paperwork together and submitted that thing. And I felt so much pride, going through that. And I was like, never imagined applying to Howard, but here I am.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And yeah, got the acceptance. And that's when I was like, okay, it's up. Like now it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have arrived. Yes.
Yes. So that's really the origin of BVP, because I very much went into that program knowing what I wanted out of it. And I didn't want, it wasn't the MBA. Like I said, it was, I want to go to Howard. I want to be a Bison. I want to contribute to this community because it is one filled with, legacy that connects the Black community, right? It's even like if you didn't even go to an HBCU, you know what Howard University is and the products of it. So going into it, I was very strategic in being, entrepreneurial. So I said, I'm going to this campus because we actually had an in-person orientation. I went to the orientation with a mission of finding my business partners, and I just remember going to showing up, getting to the School of Business and just being in a room full of just Black brilliance, and was like, man, like, I don't know if I'm really supposed to be here. Like they let me in somehow. But, I'm looking at y'all as the talent. Like we need to combine forces and put our skill sets to use to serve in the community. Howard's motto is truth and service. So, I was able to just galvanize the community in that way. And it started with forming Bison Venture Partners as a consulting firm, essentially looking at this opportunity to build our own McKinsey for our community, right? A consulting firm that provides high-level services to help small businesses, technology startups understand, like, hey, here's what you need to do to solve different problems in your company, but also here's how you position your company for, long-term success. So that was the approach. Still very much is the approach, but I would say over time we've definitely sort of defined our own category. We've sort of had to build this business in a different way because we don't have investors throwing money at us left and right. But we're rooted in the community. We're rooted in truth and service. So in doing that, we experiment. And one of the experiments we launched was to build a marketplace on Shopify, where our goal was to essentially build like an Amazon for HBCU affiliated brands. So we wanted to have one single space where we could showcase all the brilliance that comes out of HBCUs, whether they're current students or alumni businesses, and people could just come and shop and see, oh, wow, like these are all products of HBCU entrepreneurs, whether it's beauty products, food products, hair care, whatever it might be. And that was a journey in and of itself. But as an entrepreneur, you have to learn quickly, you have to move quickly, act quickly. And as we were building the system, we decided to put our own product in the store so that we would work out the bugs and the kinks.
Right.
In that search of just like, what are we going to sell? We figured out how to drop ship specialty coffee. And I was not familiar with drop shipping. I was not familiar with specialty coffee, but we ordered a sample. And I tell you, this bag of coffee, like when I opened it up out the mail, it was just like the aroma hit me, and I still smell it like right now. It was just like, it was roasted to order. Like freshest coffee I've ever had. Like I've never ordered coffee in the mail before. I wasn't like a coffee fanatic. Definitely enjoyed coffee. Definitely, anytime I travel, I'm getting a coffee at a local shop. Like that's always a thing. And I always felt in the back of my mind, like when I retire one day, a cafe is what I would do. Like a chill
cafe, like bookstore, like
bookstore there.
We just sort of sped up that process. The coffee ended up taking on a life of its own, so we decided to lean into that, and still lean into the same mission of supporting HBCUs, because our mission is to give back $1 from every bag of coffee that we sell supports HBCU student scholarships. And it's just been a journey of just leaning in, of solving problems for ourselves. We have to make money for our business so that we can execute and serve the community. So we figured out a product that brings people together, tells a story. The picture behind me is actually Kenya. It's a coffee farm in Kenya, Solai Coffee Farm. I visited there last year. It was my first time in Africa. And so coffee took me to Africa and has changed my life. It's definitely, like, I would say, helped me lean into my Blackness, like help me others realize that coffee, in fact, is historically Black.
Oh, I love that. Gave me chills. Yes. I saw your pictures too when you were in Kenya, and I'm like, the experience, like you said, you went to Howard just so that you can have the experience and be a part of that. And then look where that led you. So I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. It matters to get around your people. Seriously, like, look at what it does.
It does, especially being on an entrepreneurial journey at that, and being able to build a community, or as you say, an ecosystem. And with a lot of people, they do start out their entrepreneurial journey with a product, but somehow you have turned this into something that is even bigger than that. So I wanted to know, like, what did you understand early on in your process that a lot of people just miss?
Yeah, that's a really important question, because you sort of answered it. It's your journey, right? So it's for you to decide what you want, and what you want to build and what you want to get out of it. A lot of people focus on building a product, but a product is not a company. I knew from the beginning, I'm building an enterprise. I know that I'm studying the likes of Madam CJ Walker. I'm studying the likes of Beyonce, of Rihanna, of Jay-Z, right? Of people who are building empires, right? You may have been introduced to them with a single product, whether it's music or beauty or whatever it might be. But behind the scenes, what's actually happening is, they had some product that helped them get into the market and get some capital, but then they invested that capital into other things, into the next business, into a line of business that feeds the original line of business. So that's definitely my approach. My mindset is thinking of the larger picture and then figuring out, okay, well, what gets us there, right? What are the assets that we need to build? So coffee is, like, we have coffee products we sell, but we also have coffee infrastructure that we're building. These direct trade relationships that we have in Kenya, in Ethiopia now, as of last week. This is something way bigger than the Shopify store that we started out with, right? Like, now we're moving out of drop shipping. Drop shipping got us into the market, but now we're able to source green coffee, fresh coffee, unroasted from the motherland, and bring it into the States, and now invest in manufacturing so we can roast that coffee fresh ourselves in our own facilities, right? Think about, like, owning factories. Like, this is where we're at now, is moving into investing in building our own factories and doing it our way. Because the more you learn about just, having a product, is like everything that goes into turning that coffee that's behind us, those are coffee plants. They look like cherries. Getting it from that to the brown coffee beans that you grind up and then brew, either at home or you get it from a cafe, or something like that. There's so many hands that go into it, and I got to see in Africa, I got to see the Black women's hands picking the cherries, like each one. No equipment to pick these cherries. Like, this was like a vineyard, right? This was like, the attention to detail is like wine. This is the highest quality of coffee. It's not mass produced. It's organic, it's fresh, and it contributes to a a local community in Kenya, where when these women are able to be employed and pick these cherries, they're able to send their kids to school. And because they're able to send their kids to school, their kids are able to go and get good jobs, even outside of agriculture, potentially in technology. And then they're able to make even more money than what was possible before. And then they send that money back home, and you just see the multiplier effect. So over time, you learn, as I've learned, how important it is to own more of that value chain and the supply, and make those investments in in the origin, in the motherland, because most people know of, I'll say, the top coffee chain that may come to mind. I won't give them free marketing here because it's BVP all day.
They don't need any more yet.
But you see who is making the most money from coffee, and at the highest levels, these people do not look like us, right? Not to say they all have ill intent, but there's a lack of investment that gets made back into our communities where we actually come from, where coffee actually comes from. And that's why our coffee brand, I think, has been so important for us to just keep going and keep building and leaning into, because we are telling that story of coffee being historically Black, and coffee originating in Africa and then spreading out around the world. And even today, the largest coffee growing regions are on the continent. And it's important for us to not only preserve that, but make sure that the world knows the truth.
Exactly.
Right. And understanding, like, hey, coffee comes from Africa. There are many Black hands that still are growing and producing and shipping and roasting and packaging and all the things. So we want to make sure that we invest in an equitable supply chain, so that everybody who's doing the hard work gets paid what they deserve, gets the recognition they deserve. So it comes down to, like, me not knowing at all this is where this bag of coffee was going to lead us.
Absolutely,
But when you look at things as I'm building a company, right, you understand there's supply chain, there's profit margins, right? And if your goal is to maximize your profits, to do whatever you want to do with those profits, for us, it's reinvesting in community. In order for us to increase our profits, we need to reduce our reliance on external manufacturers, external suppliers. So again, that takes a mindset shift from, I'm going to sell a product that someone else creates, I'm going to put my logo on it, my label. I think that's a great way to get started. It's exactly how we got started. It's still a great business for us. But as we grow and develop ourselves as entrepreneurs, as leaders, and also, as individuals who've raised money from the community, right? We've crowdfunded. We have to invest in ways to set us apart from the competition, and that's the approach. So all of that to say, it takes a mindset of, I'm building a company as opposed to I am building products.
I love that. Even with you building a company and knowing the different responsibilities that come with building, like you said, manufacturing, coming to market after that, them actually picking the coffee beans, everything that you've done so far, Garry, you put in a lot of intention with all of those stages, having representation, which I love, from the beginning, even with you, investing in young Black men and making sure they know how to pitch. I kind of want to go back to that, because you stated, a question you always ask, like, or what you're looking for is, how have you failed, instead of what successes you have, to give young Black men, especially in that stage of life, that option finally, because I don't see that in our communities very often, of, letting them fail, and them knowing that they still have backing, and being a part of, infrastructure and a company that continues to scale. So I appreciate you being so intentional of what that looks like in every part of your business, to show the younger generation what their business could look like with, our community. So I really appreciate that. I just had to get that out before I asked, because continue to tie your brand into HBCUs and the culture, of course. So if you could collaborate with any historical Black figure on a BVP coffee, who would it be and what would y'all create?
Wow. That's an awesome question. That's a really awesome question that I've never thought of before. Who comes to mind? So in the past, I would have said Madam C.J. Walker. I still would love to have the opportunity to collaborate with her. That would be awesome, especially on our 1867 bag, because 1867 is the founding year of Howard University, and several other HBCUs as well. But it's also the birth year of Madam C.J. Walker. All right, this first self-made woman to become a millionaire, at least in the United States. And, you know, not the first Black woman, first woman, period.
Yeah.
So she's awesome, and her legacy is very important. But you've inspired me to think about, okay, could we collaborate with George Washington Carver?
Yes.
You know, all the that's really how I think about myself, is like what are all the uses for coffee? You know, just like he thought of all the uses for the peanut, you know, and it's just, you know, everything from fuel to food to hair products to whatever it might be. And that's definitely the approach we're going is, you know, look at all the coffee behind me right now, right? Like the fields are endless. And the coffee has to be sold. So as the CEO, you know, the strategic leader, you know, I have to figure out, okay, how do we position our company to help these farmers sell more coffee? And that means, hey, if we move beyond just selling cups of coffee in a cafe to, hey, we could sell beauty products, you know, think about body scrubs using coffee. Even with
under
our
eye
approach,
creams, everything. Yeah.
You name it. You can probably, there's probably a way to integrate coffee into it. And even before the coffee gets roasted, you can use green coffee extract, which is used in energy drinks. People that don't like coffee can still, they actually still drink coffee because there's green coffee in your energy drink. But yeah, our company is very much environmentally friendly. You know, we have this focus on being sustainable and making sure that the planet exists after we are here no longer. You know, all that coffee, to see the fields and just to see the greenery, you know, you see how important the earth is. And if we're just using traditional extractive methods and gasoline and, you know, all these fossil fuels to produce and roast coffee, we're not going to have these green pastures anymore. So there are new ways of roasting which use electricity. A thought is, how do we use spent coffee grounds, right? After we've already roasted coffee, we brewed the coffee, we've got all this coffee waste. Can we use the coffee waste to create fuel for machines, for clean machines that we use for manufacturing, that could be used to power maybe a car, like, you know, maybe a self-driving car. These are all possibilities, right? So, you know, we take that very seriously. It's very important for us to do that. And yeah, I think George Washington Carver he was the man.
I love that answer. Yes.
He had it down, and he left the blueprint for others to see, like, hey, it's just about asking a question and seeing how far you can take it from there.
That just made my day. But so if BVP Coffee was a person and they were walking into a room, what's their personality like? How are they dressed? And what energy do they bring into that room?
Ooh, I like that.
I like that too. I mean, it's me and B. It's just me and B. We are BVP Coffee Co. So, you know, we show up, like, when we're pitching in competitions, when we're showing up to do coffee pop-ups and things like that, like, we do the whole cowboy aesthetic, like Black cowboy.
I love it.
Cowboy hats, the boots. I try my best to, like, get things from Black owned brands. So I got these like cowboy rock star boots, red leather. I got white leather, stars on the back,
Yes.
Black owned cowboy hat, so we do that whole thing. And the vibe is very much, like confident, very much shining, very much unapologetic. We give ourselves a lot of different names, but the Clips of Coffee is our vibe. Push
I love it. Yeah.
We're just like, yeah, we at it. We just, we're just going about it, and doing it for the community and inspiring. The point is really like, hey, we're different, we're unique, we are Black unicorns, and we want you to see that, like, hey, you can do it too. Like, whoever you are, like, just be you. Don't apologize for showing up in the room as you are, or how you want to dress and this and that. So yeah, it's just about like showing up and having fun with it. But I think the way me and B show up in different rooms representing the brand, that is BVP for sure.
I love that. I love the Black cowboy aesthetic, because that's what I think of with coffee, that Black coffee over open flame. Like, yeah. So I love that.
Yeah. And it's always like, it always tells a story. Like everything we do tells a story. So the cowboy aesthetic is an homage to just the fact that, yeah, the cowboy is also Black history. The term is cowboy. It's not cowman, because we were called boys, for tending to cattle. Like, it is us who made the cowboy cool. And then, just like many other things, it is
like everything. Yes.
Everything.
It co-opted and taken and turned into something else, because we lead the pack, right? We set the trends. And so just bringing that reminder in everything that we do is really important. And after my trip to Kenya, also, I show up with like my Maasai blanket, like wrapped around my body, like I was leaping with
right.
Africa, like reminding our community, like, hey, we come from royalty, we come from people who live amongst the land, and we come from, like the men in the community go out and would hunt lions. These are brave people. These are protectors, defenders, and they don't hunt the lions as they used to for conservation reasons. But, as dangerous as a lion is, imagine being out there with no gun, just a spear and a shield, and saying, hey, I have to protect my tribe, and doing it to the point where the lions are afraid of the people.
Yes, coffee picked from the same root that you were. So I love that. You showcase that everywhere you go. And with everything that you have, developed and created, businesses running, I do want to get a little real. In all of that, what almost made you quit?
Every day there's something. Every day there is something. Quitting, honestly, like quitting at this point, as much as I know, it's just not an option. I know enough about myself to know, like, yeah, I've been at the bottom. And even when you think it's the bottom, there's something else that may happen and will happen later on. You're like, oh no, it actually can be a lot worse, but it also can get so much better than you ever knew. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, of course. So just what almost made you quit? So when, before, I know where you are now, there's no quit in you, but before we got here, where was it?
What almost made me quit? What almost made me quit? It tends to be financial things. I mean, in business, money is the blood of the company. So money has never been overflowing. We've been blessed to have, done a crowdfunding campaign back in 2021, 2022. We raised about $52,000 from 167 individuals. They were able to invest as little as $100 into the business. And that was exciting. We didn't raise as much money as we wanted to. We wanted to raise at least $250,000. But we were able to raise at least 52,000, and
Wow.
start to have some runway and some
Yeah.
money to work with, and make some initial bets. We were very much a service-based business at that point, but we were looking to purchase some equipment and do different things. But you realize how little $52,000 actually is in the grand scheme of, okay, you're launching,
Yeah.
you're building a company, right? You're trying to build something that lasts, not just create a product that you just start marketing. So that money, got very low relatively quickly. I'll say I was like on the brink of shutting down the business. Like
Yeah.
we had basically no money. We really weren't making any money. But we advanced to a pitch competition where the organizers were an organization called Pronghorn, and they exist to get more Black people in the spirits industry. Another
Okay.
space where we're represented, right? But definitely contribute to the economy and even the origination of very popular brands. If you're familiar with Uncle Nearest, that's
Yes.
a brand.
What they're going through now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're going through a lot now, which is like, I'm like, yeah, my financial problems have never been at that scale, but
Mhm.
that is what the bottom looks like. The bottom looks like, hey, times are very difficult right now, and nothing is guaranteed in business. Every day you have to hustle to figure out
Yeah.
how do you make it another day. So you make all these decisions, and it can weigh down on you because you start to feel like the losses are piling up.
Yeah.
And that I definitely felt like that at one point in time, and I feel like that. I would say today, like we need a win, like we need a
Yeah.
win very soon. But for that competition, it was life or death, and it was an opportunity for us to actually develop a new product. So we came up with a concept, actually combining the history of coffee being historically Black and whiskey being historically Black. Nearest Green being the man who taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey, right? And look at where Jack Daniels as a brand is, as a company is
Yeah.
today, right? That's a Black man's contribution that helped him figure that out. Coffee being historically Black, being discovered in Africa before being the most consumed beverage in the world outside of water. Right? So we came up with a concept that combined cold brew coffee with whiskey barrel aged beans, and we wanted to use Black owned whiskey barrels, to age the coffee beans. It gives the coffee this whiskey essence. It's no alcohol in it. It's just like smoky sort of flavor. It's added to the product, and you can brew the coffee in like a longer form way, brew it over the span of 24 hours, almost like you're making whiskey. Like it's a longer process,
Wow.
but it gives you a very unique flavor profile and essence. So we built this product called 1867 Reserve, and it was this whiskey barrel aged cold brew. We're going to sell in whiskey bottles, and put the 1867 prominent on the bottle, and tell the same story of HBCUs and Madam C.J. Walker. And it's also the first year that Black men in DC voted. So agency, and having ownership in that regard was important to the story. So that competition was, like I said, life or death. It was like, hey, we are on the brink. We don't have revenue coming in. We've got to repay investors. And I very much was questioning myself as CEO, as a leader, like, am I right for this? Right? Like, am I a liar? Basically, right? Like I have convinced people to give me funding. I have convinced them to, invest in me and invest in us and get us here. But things aren't working. Like the bank account is not reflecting what it's supposed to show by now. Like our projections are not being hit. So this competition was high stakes. and $35,000 were on the line. Myself and my partners, we end up showing up in Miami. We're walking through Miami to get to the event space, and we're all black, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, custom shirts, BVP shirts. And we showed up to that space. And I just remember the CEO of Pronghorn walking in and seeing us just like seated, just waiting to, get ready for the event. And I remember him walking in, just looking at us like, okay, like I'm liking what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
There was another team that definitely showed up and showed out. Everybody did well on that stage, but we really got on that stage and told a story. We told the story of 1867. We told a story of coffee being black, of whiskey being black, and how this product was going to embody all of that, into an enjoyable thing that everybody can just enjoy. So we ended up winning the competition, and that was redemption. That was like, okay, all right, I can breathe again, but before that, it was like, man, I don't know how we get through this. I don't know how we pay the bills we have to pay. I don't know how we repay our investors. I don't know how we hit the revenue goals we're going to hit. But it takes believing in yourself, believing in your team, and, creating space for others to help you, and that competition, I literally, I cried on the stage after we won.
Did you?
Because it was overwhelming. It was like I was on the stage, and it was all HBCU community members in the audience. It was an HBCU focused competition. And it was a moment of just truth. It was like, wow, like this was the vision. This is like what God gave me. This was like, I had not stood in front of a stage and ever told this story before, but we started the brand to support this community. And here we are being awarded, with this funding that's going to save our business. And the witnesses are all our people
in that community. Yeah. Oh, what a moment. Yeah. No, for how I feel right now. I could imagine. No, talk about a win though. Not only did you win the funds, but you won back that sense of self too. And you were supposed to be doing what you were doing. I kind of want to get into that, the capital conversation. During all of that, you went through it, you had to give your pitch, but what does being fundable actually mean beyond just having an LLC, beyond having a business? What does that mean?
Yeah, being fundable. You have to be responsible. You have to be responsible. So I think everyone has the potential to be fundable. There's different types of investment opportunities and types of returns that investors look for. So you have to understand as the entrepreneur, first and foremost, okay, what type of business am I building? What type of opportunity does that create for potential investors? Some investors may be interested in a debt financing. They want, sort of slower returns, but more guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, but more realistic returns, right?
Yeah.
Other investors might be more interested in equity. They want ownership. They want to invest in a spaceship, something that's going to go out and discover a new horizon. The returns that you get are going to be exponential. That's a much longer term investment, higher risk, but potentially higher reward. So as the entrepreneur, you have to figure out, okay, what am I building? Right? Like what realistically are we doing here? What's the offer we want to provide to potential investors? Being fundable does mean getting your paperwork together. You have to have your finances in order to present to investors. We had to do a lot, actually. We had to prepare our books, which at the time when we fundraised, they were very simple. So you shouldn't feel overwhelmed by the process, because in reality, like, your books might just be a bunch of zeros, but you at least need to have zeros on the books, like just
showing them that you're tracking. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have what we call your GAAP financials. It's like general accounting principles, something else in there. But yeah, you need to have that paperwork ready, especially if you want to do like a crowdfunding raise like we did. We could have done something like a Kickstarter, or a GoFundMe, right? There are ways to crowdfund to raise money from the community without it being an investment. It's more like a donation. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to, like I said, we are building an enterprise. So when I think about what we're building, it's billions of dollars. It's, and to be honest with you, at this point, trillions of dollars is what's in my head, is what I know is possible, is what is, we've done the analysis to understand how big the market is and where it's going. So we strategically, you know, and in alignment with our mission, we are bringing people along with us. Like, our business is built on the African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So we have created a vehicle to help all of us go further. It takes capital investment to achieve the mission and make progress. But the point of the vehicle is, hey, we can all get into it, right? Like when we move, we all move. So your investment is small today, it's $100, but we're putting that money to work, right? So you definitely have to have the business plan, the pitch deck, the analysis, all that stuff ready to share and communicate with others. This is how, like I said, like the companies that make it to the stock market, they get there from people pooling money together, from making early bets on these companies. That's our vision. Our vision is to take our company public, whether on the US market or an international market, to be determined. But the point being wealth generation, right? Not just for ourselves, but for the community. So if we truly believe in generational wealth, and we know that, hey, it's not about like one Black person getting richer. It's about all of us becoming more wealthy, right? Having ownership. The vehicle creates products, creates value, creates services, but also owns infrastructure. It owns assets. So when you make an investment in the company, you're making you're getting an ownership stake in these assets, right? You're increasing your own wealth for your family. And ideally, when we provide a return, you're able to, you know, invest that money however you like. Whether in your own business, in your
keep growing it,
turning. So that's how money works. So we see our company as being a vehicle for that. So we have to prepare all the paperwork and, you know, like I said, communicate. You have to be ready to communicate to potential investors, and then to people who contributed to your campaign. And we raised that initial money almost 5 years ago, right? But we're still in contact with our investors. We still have to provide a return to our investors. Our first raise was a revenue share loan. So, you know, we knew early on, people most likely aren't going to invest in an equity raise of ours because we haven't proven anything with this company yet as venture partners, right? We are starting with a pitch deck, right? But then we did this amazing feat of just getting in front of people and walking them through the pitch deck and saying, here's the opportunity in front of us. Here's the market. Here's the problems. You know, multicultural businesses need capital. We receive the least amount of capital in the world. But if we were to receive, you know, parity and have equity in these spaces, like the data shows that we actually do more with less. So imagine what we can do with more. So we believe that's the vehicle that we're creating. And we had to get all of our paperwork together, create a campaign, stay consistent, like just keep going out there. And, you know, you get a lot of no's, you get a lot of people who are looking at you like you're a scammer and this and that. And like that just comes from the story, you know, and it's like rightfully so. Like, there's definitely bad actors. But the more transparent and authentic you can come across, and I would say like podcasts and interviews like this help a lot because you can tell your story, and like it's not the same as like walking through a pitch deck. It's more just like, hey, here I'm answering questions that are very tough questions. And they're just so my only answers are just the real, you know, just the truth, how it's going and all that kind of stuff. But the last part I would say is, if you are interested in investment crowdfunding, which we are advocates of, because it allows everybody, everyday people, to invest in promising businesses, whether they're small mom and pops in your community or they're high growth startups, coming out of a laboratory. Everyday people can invest as little as $100 into these businesses. And this law came about during the Obama administration. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for that. But the Black president definitely created vehicles for wealth generation. It's on us to take advantage of them, right? So that's what we envision for our company is not just leveraging these laws, but also helping other entrepreneurs leverage investment crowdfunding and seeing like, hey, you're going down this path of fundraising, but we think you're talking to people who are not going to invest in you, like the venture capitalists that you're talking to. The data tells us, there's billions of dollars invested through venture capital, the same capital that gets companies to the stock market, the investors behind Uber and Tesla and Facebook. These are all venture capitalists, right? Yes. Less than 2% of that money, so less than 2% of billions of dollars, gets invested into people that look like us, into multicultural businesses, into women-owned businesses. So it's already hard for anyone to get venture capital, but for Black and brown people and women, it is the hardest. And through crowdfunding, you can go directly to your community. You can go to your friends and family. They don't have to be wealthy to invest in you. So just imagine the power of being able to leverage your influence, and your community to invest small amounts that can pile up to upwards of $5 million, which is the max you can raise on these platforms today. And we've seen it done with other Black-owned brands. So we share that story and all that kind of stuff. But in order to get there, to raise that 5 million or even 50,000, your paperwork has to be in order. You have to be ready to answer questions. You got to be, willing to.
You have to know your business for sure. Yeah.
You definitely have to know it, and it has prepared us for the day where we do go public on the stock market. We essentially have already gone public. We had to file paperwork with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So the federal government, is holding us to account to repaying our investors. So that's how seriously we're taking it. We're only raising money through these portals that are federally approved. So if you do take it seriously, take it seriously, and then just know that education is important. You have to educate others to understand what is the opportunity here. What are the risks? There's always risks associated. There's no guarantee of getting your money back, but that's the point. The point of money is to put it to work. So entrepreneurs are the ones who figure out the creative ways to do so. So that's the hard work. Hard work is putting that all into a single presentation.
Right. All of that into 10 minutes that you get on stage. Yes.
And you know what, Garry, I truly appreciate your time today and just really just breaking down for us as far as what it takes to actually be an entrepreneur and know that there are ups and downs, know that there are resources out there that many of us don't take advantage of, that are still out there available to us, but also just letting us know that anything is possible. So I wanted to take that time to give you your flowers and thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So I am going to ask you our signature question. It does take everyone a bit of time to answer it. So the question is, if you could give a title to your memoir based on your journey thus far, what would it be and why?
Another great one. So I already wrote a book called Free Breakfast, which that one, I'm like, I love that title because it's in large part a memoir. It includes various essays and writings I've published online, like just throughout my journey as an entrepreneur. And I decided to just compile it all into one book, just to prove that I could write a book. And I did it and realized, okay, that was actually pretty easy. Like I said, I have ideas and I just have to do it, So that was my first one, Free Breakfast, A Radical Introduction to Entrepreneurship. That one is inspired by the Black Panther Party's Free Breakfast for School Children program.
Have to get this.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out. It's on bvp.coffee on the website, available for free as an ebook. But I think my memoir, like when I'm done, when I think it's said and done, I think Love and Coffee would be the title. Yeah, I think that would be the title, because it's, it's a labor of love. It is a labor of love, and I can't take coffee out of it. Coffee is now like my life. But I love what I do. Like, as hard as it is fulfilling. It is worthwhile. And I don't ever feel like I have to have everything figured out. I feel like I'm contributing to helping others see like they can figure it out in their own way, whatever it is. And I think I would go with that. There's a book that Fawn Weaver recently published called Love and Whiskey, which tells the story of Nearest Green. So I think I would do a different rendition. I'm always just like inspired by like the past. So I like my take of Love and Coffee. And it would just tell the story of traveling the world and just, delivering great experiences around coffee and all the great people I've met along the way. And like I said, just like inspiring the next generation to be like, hey, we have everything we need. Like, we just need to know we can do it. And Garry said we can do it. So let's go.
I love it. Yes. Wonderful title. I'm definitely going to read the other one, because that is right where I am in my mindset with entrepreneurial journey. So I appreciate it. We want to thank you again for your time and just dropping these gems that you have. Honestly, I'm going to be rewatching this a lot for the tips that you just gave us for free. So we truly appreciate it. And even your book being, on the website for free. Like, that's just, like you said, George Washington Carver, for sure. I definitely see the alignment. You're leaving the blueprints. So I really appreciate those blueprints. Can you just give a moment, Garry, just to let us know how we can reach you? What's, next on the horizon for BVP as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on every social platform. So Garry Johnson III, Garry. Instagram and LinkedIn probably being the best places to find me, at BVP Coffee Co everywhere as well. What's next on the horizon? We are pressing forward. Last week we were at Dallas Coffee Fest and very much realized we are coffee rock stars, so we're going to lean into that. But next week we are in a competition. We advanced to the state of Delaware's Edge Grant competition, where we are returning to the stage, competing for $200,000. The prize pool is $750,000, so there's a chance we get more than what we asked for. But that date, next Friday, May 1st, we are launching our latest invention to the world. So it is actually an AI company that we're going to spin out of Bison Venture Partners. And we see this company being the tech backend that's going to help other businesses run efficiently and compete and win in this age of AI, in a way where we're giving people ownership and control and freedom, and really excited about that. So next week we are embodying Harriet Tubman. We are embodying Harriet Tubman, leading people to freedom. So that's what's next for us. But yeah, we're just going to keep building the brands, building the company, the enterprise. And like I said, it comes down to opening up other lines of business. So we've got the coffee, we've got the consulting, we've got investing. And next week we will be launching our AI platform.
It's AI, yes. Perfect. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. This was great. This was really fun. And your questions are
this was
amazing. They're the best
Oh,
questions I've
thank
ever
you.
been asked.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we studied you for a couple weeks, so
Got it.
appreciate it. We truly appreciate it. And thank you everyone else for joining us. I know this wasn't at our regular time, but we really appreciate you reserving the time to sit with us and learn about, how we can continue to grow our community. So Garry, thank you again. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you next week on Sister Soul Sessions.
Bye.
Thank you, Brittany and BE.
Thank you.
Thank you.